You didn't have consistency at the schools either for a teacher or for a counselor or for someone to kind of bring it to awareness. So her being on the spectrum has impacted her life in so many ways, and it just was not brought to awareness or acknowledged for years. I'd call it like an autistic awakening, or really acknowledging it and working through it.
Yeah, because I was always labeled as,
Difficult,
as
sensitive.
a difficult child. Yeah, the awareness was brought that I was a troublemaker at school.
But really, though,
but really, it was the autistic traits I was having.
And those were shutdowns, right?
Yeah. Felt misunderstood a lot, and I didn't understand myself. I thought it was just had like at one point I just thought I had a mental disorder. I thought I had multiple personalities or something.
Welcome back to the Power and Purpose podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for investing your time and your energy into today's episode. I greatly appreciate it. And today's episode is really, really special because I get to have my sister Katrina, come on, and we're just gonna have a casual conversation. We're at home, we're chilling. This is like super casual, less formal. And yeah, she has a part of her journey that I think might help someone out there. And I think it's important. And it's not a polished message. This is not rehearsed. We didn't have a big outline or a big agenda. We're literally just feeling called to turn on the mic and see what comes of this conversation. And again, if this episode really helps just at least one person accept themselves and where they're at on their journey, then so be it. Then that's what we're here to do if it happens. So thanks again for tuning in, guys. And yeah, we're just gonna be super casual and just flow. So hopefully you can receive something as a gift from this episode. So, all right, Trina. So it's so funny because in 2025, you and I, we're sisters, we're close, we're chatting, going back and forth, and somehow neurodivergence came into the conversation with you and I, and we were kind of joking around like, wait, am I ADHD? Am I on the spectrum? And we were really casual and we were laughing like we always are. And so recently, a big part of your journey has been, I like to call it an autistic awakening.
Yeah.
And so, how did that start out for you? I mean, again, we started off with like joking around, sending each other Instagram reels like, this is me, this is you. And then, over time, you really started to embrace that you're an adult on the autistic spectrum. So, like, what was that like? Did it start in that day in Barnes and Nobles when you pick up that autistic book?
Well, I think really even before that day, someone was trying to call you. They were joking around calling you autistic.
Right. So,
And
someone I was dating was calling me autistic.
they were like, "Oh, are you autistic?" And we were shocked by that. We're like, "What? Oh, of course not." It just sounded so ridiculous. And then in that moment, I said, "Oh, if anything, I'm more autistic than you." And then after that statement, I started thinking about it. Then I started seeing reels of different people saying, "Oh, I'm autistic. I've been diagnosed with autism." And then I started thinking about it a lot and wondering, like, "Oh, is that, what's wrong with me?"
Nothing's wrong with you,
But
though.
nothing's wrong with me. I know. Therapist said that. But my whole life, though, I had a learning disability. I was just starting to put everything was going in my mind. It was replaying in my mind. Well, oh, I have a learning disability, and then I used to have epilepsy, which I think affected me. And then later on come to find out, our parents are like, oh yeah, our parents said, oh yeah, well the doctor said casually, they're like, oh yeah, well the doctor said that when you're in my tummy, mom said, they said that you might come out a little slow, and that's the word they used, because it was different back then. And I asked dad that too, and he confirmed like, oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, the doctor said that, but I, I didn't, he just kind
But
of
they just kind of like
dismissed
dismissed
it.
it. And then
They
they,
dismissed it. He was just like, oh, well, we didn't know, honey, back then. We didn't know. I didn't want to believe him. And then they just moved past it. And I had an IEP in elementary school, and they were doing what I was getting pulled out of the classes, and I was going to speech therapy because I had so many seizures, and everything. I was getting the help I was needed and the resources in elementary school. But after elementary school, I think the family's life drama took over, and people forgot about whatever we were forgotten about with our support that
yeah, yeah, you
needed. We
just
got lost in translation. And me as a sixth grader, I don't, we went to so many different schools, and we would move with mom, and then when I moved back with dad, and then mom would move, and it was just so much change to try to keep up with that. Fast forward, I just I didn't even get a diploma, and then I got the GED, but it's like it was a struggle to get all that. I never really understood why they didn't stop and be like, okay, let's just go take her to the doctor and
right.
get officially diagnosed.
It's just like somehow in the midst of the instability of our family going through all the family challenges that they were having, divorces and different
Infidelity.
households, and we spent 2 weeks at one house, 2 weeks at the next house, or getting kicked out of one house. It's just like
Yeah.
her, it's just like yeah, it's almost like her academic support just kind of got forgotten about. And it's not, we're not shaming or blaming our parents
No,
right now, but
no.
we're just kind of like backtracking on like, okay, how did this happen?
Yeah.
But yeah, it was like summer 2025.
And I went to 6 different high schools. So there was
Yeah, so she
no
was
way
just
I
like
could
bouncing
remember.
around. Yeah, and that's another thing. Like you didn't
No
have like
way I could.
you didn't have consistency at the schools either for a teacher or for a counselor or for
Someone to pull.
someone to kind of bring it to awareness. So her being on the spectrum has impacted her life in so many ways, and it just was not brought to awareness or acknowledged for years. I
No.
mean, she's in her
Yeah.
30s now, and just last year, less than 6 or 7 months ago, she finally started to, again, I call it like an autistic awakening, or really acknowledging it and working through it.
Yeah, because I was always labeled as, you know,
Difficult,
as a
sensitive.
difficult child. Yeah, the awareness was brought that I was a troublemaker at school. But come
But really, though,
but
we
really
figured,
it was the autistic traits I was
and
having
those were shutdowns, right?
shutdowns. Yeah,
It wasn't until recently she taught me about the four types of autistic shutdowns, and we realized,
having meltdowns, and I would get into it with teachers and and classmates and friends, and fights and suspended, and it was an ongoing cycle. I was just labeled as Katrina has a bad attitude, and she acts crazy, and she likes to fight. And that's
right.
all
But
I was
really,
labeled as
what
all
was
this time.
what was happening and no one
Yeah.
was really seeing it was someone needed real support and academic help. And not just academic, like even emotional and mental support at home, like being overstimulated, and she's sensitive, and our household was chaotic and not stable, and there just wasn't a lot of support in many different ways. So she was just unsupported for so long.
Yeah. And I think also because, and maybe longer than this, but I think now today in the last 5 or 6 years, I don't want to say autism's become popular, but it's become more normalized
Well,
that there's a spectrum. there's a spectrum. It's not just so because we have a cousin that is autistic and his is like he got supported because his was very obvious. And because I wasn't obvious, I got lost in translation because I didn't look like it, I didn't talk like it, and I have the social skills to a certain extent, but people didn't even know I was masking. They didn't even know that. And I didn't even know that myself. I just thought this is how I was. I just thought this was, I was just actually copying other people in the family. I was just like picking up on, oh, okay. Like my dad would always have us do announcements. So I was like, oh, this is how you, it's like I would always turn on. I knew how to turn
Turn
on
on
the
the
switch,
mask.
turn on
Yeah.
the mask. All right, get up there and speak and do the announcements. And I became very good at that. Um, and learning how to talk and have opinions and speaking up. I mastered that because that's what was taught in the family, how to master that.
Yeah, and let me just highlight that, people who are not on the spectrum, or if you haven't gone through an autistic awakening, or if you don't have anyone in your family, you may not understand the term masking, but it's basically like your survival tactic because when you're on the spectrum, especially when you're unsupported, you can't be yourself because you're not supported in being yourself. So you have to put on a mask. That mask might look different. You might have one default mask, you might have three different masks, but you are masking your sensitivities, you're masking your nervous system dysregulation or the nervous system needs that you might have, and you're basically like faking it. Right? Is that does that I and I'm not I'm not knowingly on the spectrum, but am I doing a okay job at trying to describe masking as would you have anything to add to that?
Oh, well, it's like masking would be like, it's like when you, yeah, it's just like learning how to, I guess another good word is just like how people say, oh, you know how to code switch very well. I may be slang. But it's like when you're out with your friends, you act one way. Then when you go to work and you're professional, that's called code switching. So I would relate code switching to masking kind of. It's the same thing. You just know how to switch
I
in
even think
setting
it's
and
even more
adjusting.
severe though because it's
It
more
is
of a
very severe.
survival.
Yeah.
Like
It's very severe.
you almost can't be your natural spectrum self because you'll be vulnerable, people can take advantage of you, you could become, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
you
like
just force yourself to be a certain way. And you don't even realize. I didn't even know what, masking, none of that meant. And it's just like, even a few years ago, um, a family friend, I just remember, things play back in my head. I remember a family friend said to my family, my dad, that I was pretending to not be I was pretending to not be autistic, but I really am. So I'm just hiding it. So that's a perspective. That's what someone thought I was doing, but I didn't even really know I was autistic because no one never told me that. So
right.
I wasn't that person thought I was hiding it because the whole
The
family,
person thought you knew about it
yeah,
and that you were hiding it,
yeah, they
but
was
you weren't
hiding it.
even
I wasn't
aware.
even aware. I wasn't even aware because no one ever told me. And I think I think when those people, that person that said that, they tried to tell my dad and get me, and they tried to, talk to someone, but they didn't bring me with them to actually get
They
sources.
didn't include you in
They
the
didn't include me in the
process.
process.
Yeah,
And then it didn't work that way. They were like, oh, okay, well, she's not really severely autistic, so then we can't help her. But I know that's not true. If I, now that I'm doing the work myself, I am getting help and I am in the process of getting diagnosed. So you have to have the person present and on board. But it's just like, the only thing is, I don't, I don't blame anyone. I just wish someone would have told me so I could have just got help a long time ago. A
right.
long time ago. I think my life would have went, oh, just it just would have went. I smoother.
Yeah.
I don't blame
Yeah.
anyone. I just feel like I just wish that I had more guidance or more
Right.
direction.
Right. Can we talk about the day, that time at Barnes and Nobles? You
Oh,
found the book. I think it's called, we'll link the book, you guys, if you want. It's like uh, Unmasking for adults or something like that.
I have.
In December, holiday time, when all the families are spending time together and doing all the holiday stuff, we're in Barnes and Nobles and she finds this book about unmasking, and she sits there at Barnes and Nobles and she really starts to work through the book, and everything is resonating deeper and deeper and deeper. And her autistic awakening was literally happening during, in the Barnes and Nobles, they have that the holiday music that's like blaring, like ho 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 ho, like just all the holiday chaos. And she's literally like having this moment where it's all dawning on her
Yeah.
that she is an adult and she's on the spectrum, and in the book, and she was learning so much about what it means to be on the spectrum, and she was even able to see through the workbook where she's at on the spectrum. And Trina, I know this is a sensitive topic, but just feel free to be as open as you want or not, but like, how did it feel really embracing that? Because it was kind of tough, right?
Yeah.
Coming to grips. How did that feel for you?
Yeah, I was reading it, looking through the book, and I only got like 5 pages in, and I just started to cry because I had been trying to search. Not, I know I keep saying this, some search what is wrong with me, but I've just been trying to find answers of what's really going on because I thought I had depression. I knew
Right?
I thought I was, and I started taking
Try
antidepressants,
to go down that
try
path.
to go down the path. Then, oh yeah, she just has severe anxiety, and then and 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 going like all these different paths, and just like, oh well, I just have an anger management problem. Oh, I just have this, trying to find all the wrong labels. And then in that moment, I just had this sense of just relief, like, oh my God. Maybe it was clearer to other people, to me, but for myself, I was just like, wow, this entire time. And I just was like, I just I had so many different emotions, but I was just,
You went from like relief to sadness to anger.
yeah, yeah. I don't know why, but I was disappointed. I was disappointed in myself for some reason. I just felt I had a lot of different emotions: shame, shocked. You feel like you don't want to blame anybody, but you're just like, what the fuck? Like, you just,
You're like,
it's
how did we
hard.
get here?
It's like, yeah, how was this missed?
How was this missed for 30 something years?
And to resolve that was just like, there's just been so many different things.
And you tried really not to be, you tried not to project anger onto our parents because you've been doing work. She's my sister, you guys. You guys know I've been doing the work. So Katrina's been doing her own work on the side, just with therapy and self-awareness and personal development. So she's doing her best to intellectually not project anger on to our parents, but like when it came down to it, you had to just feel those emotions. You had to let yourself feel angry for our mom or our dad not being there for you or not supporting you in the ways that you were, right?
Yeah.
You had to accept that
Yeah, I
emotion.
went through that emotion for about a week.
And how was that? What did it
That
feel like?
was that was hard because you don't want to blame them, but you're like, how did you miss this? Because it's just like you're like, you just went through so many challenges you felt like could have been avoided, to a certain extent, or feeling lost. And because life just seems so difficult, like a regular 9 to 5 career, me working with kids for about 12 to 13 years, everything just seemed so challenging and I couldn't put my finger on it until I picked up that book and I was just like, wow, and I just had so many tears. I had so many tears because I just felt like I knew I was different, but I didn't know what was really going on with me. And
Yeah.
it just felt, it was tears of relief, joy, sadness, disappointment, shame, but also happy to finally found a solution to what's going on. So now I can step in and just get resources because like I told my uncle, when I told them this, and I was talking to my dad and my uncle's like, "Oh, Trina, you know, they thought I was just downing myself." And he's like, "But Trina, you're smart and your brother says really brilliant things and I've heard you say some of those things." So, I get it. They didn't want me to feel bad about myself. That's not what it was. I had to say to him like, "No, no, no. Uncle Dell, it's not that. It's just I've been drowning for years. For years, I've been drowning and I just want to swim. I just want to swim." And he caught that metaphor of what I was trying to say, how I felt.
Mm.
Like now I know my needs, so now I can put on floaties to help me get there. Or I can get on a surfboard and surf through the water
Yeah.
to get to where I want to be.
Yeah.
And before I was just drowning. I felt like weights were just holding me down in my mind.
And you've been
It
learning so
just,
much about yourself that now that you've
Mhm.
embraced it.
Yeah,
One question I do have for you though is like, is it still painful? Do you still feel shame?
it's mixed emotions. I think it's just like I embrace that I am, but it's just hard because um people always just hearing people's, like even my therapist and people were saying like, "Oh, you don't sound or you don't look autistic and stuff." And
So they're kind of like undermining it just because you're a high functioning autistic, or
yeah,
you may not be as
or
obvious on the spectrum as others.
yeah, and then I don't want people to be like, also be like, "Oh, well, you're just using it as an excuse." It's not an excuse. It explains why, because all these years, I always, about 7 years ago, I took the learning disability test again as an adult because I was having trouble just trying to go to community college. And I was like, "Oh, okay, I have delayed processing." So I was just thinking like, "Oh, I have a little bit late delayed processing." It still didn't dawn on me that even the person that tested me did say, "Hey, you should go since you have a learning disability, there's a high probable, chance that you could be autistic or you should." Or they should have just said to me, "Hey, you should consult with your primary care doctor after this or a psychiatrist just to see, you know.
Yeah.
Even the professionals should have gave me some type of direction because
It's
that still
crazy,
didn't
like
help."
and it's your story, but like I feel like so many people have fell through the cracks. Like so many
Yeah.
people have gone unsupported for so long. Like, and what does that feel like?
You just feel like you're on the island alone and nobody understands and you don't understand. It's frustrating. You mask with alcohol and just isolation and overeating. I mean, these are the things you overindulge in other stuff because you just feel so like something is wrong with you. You feel like you're actually physically broken as a
Wow,
person
that's
because
tough.
you don't quite fit in.
Right.
When you're high functioning, you understand the like my cousin and I that he is, I am more high functioning than him and he works in a grocery store, but we have a great relationship and I never knew it never even dawned on me how I was able to understand him better and have a great, a great relationship, and I used to know how to deal with him and stuff, but I never knew it's because I'm like him.
Yeah.
Everybody was like, oh, you're just good with kids. You're just good with, you have a lot of patience and this and that, not knowing that, like, oh, okay, it's because I am them, just, higher functioning.
Yeah.
So it's really painful. It is painful. It is painful to go through life like that with
Yeah.
no guidance. But but now I feel good about it because now I know I can advocate for myself.
Yes.
That's all I wanted was to know like what is wrong so I can just problem solve. And now that I have that, I'm like, boom, I'm gonna advocate for myself. Now that I'm in my 30s, I'm 35 years old. My birthday's next week. I'm about to be 36 years old. And I am relieved. I'm relieved that, I found out, last year in December that it came to me. It's like, I call it like an aha moment. And, I'm glad I had that aha moment because now it's given me direction and direction gives you purpose. And now you feel like, okay, now once I can advocate for myself and get the help I need and stuff, your whole world is different now. Life looks
Mm.
different for me. I have, there's more confidence there because I know what I need now. And once you know what you need and what to ask for, then it's like, okay, now I know I can get there. Now I know I can succeed because there's just certain areas and certain things I need more support in.
Yeah.
But when you don't know that, it's a fucking loss. You're lost. It's a
And you
lost
try to
world.
cope with drugs, alcohol,
Food,
food, just
overeating.
you could end up in all these, we call these patterns self-sabotage sometimes in regular personal development or in traditional therapy. We call it self-sabotage. But sometimes a person is just trying to regulate their nervous system. And if you're on the spectrum or you know someone who is on the spectrum, they're using a lot of that stuff, those substances or the alcohol or the food to regulate because they're not aware of what's happening inside their brain. And for autistic people, if you go do research, you guys, I've been so interested in it because I've been supporting Katrina, my sister, on her journey. So I've kind of listened to some doctors and scientists kind of like literally compare the brains of the brain of an autistic person to the brain of a neurotypical person to the brain of an ADHD person. And there's a big difference in what's in the activity of the brains of all three types of groups of people. So it's really, really interesting. And so, yeah, we just wanted to chat about it, and she's been able to support herself in so many ways. And she knows, like sometimes she knows when she just needs to go regulate or when she needs to like just do something to regulate her nervous system, or she knows when she's having a shutdown. She'll be like, "Oh my God, I'm having a shutdown right now." And when she says that, like I know exactly what I know what it means. Before, I mean, we've had some blowouts as sisters like 4 years ago. We had like a crazy fight that we didn't know we were gonna come back from, but it was now looking back, it was her getting, I probably triggered her in some way. And then I probably was pressuring her to respond or to communicate, and she was shutting down. And then I felt like she was being difficult or denying something, or, like I was projecting all these other things because I just misunderstood what was happening.
Yeah.
So it's like, but now, as sisters, our relationship has improved. I try to learn as much as I can about being on the spectrum. I try to support her. She's had so much, again, you guys, she's only 6 or 7 months into her autistic awakening journey, and her life is completely different. Probably 180 or 360, would you say?
Yeah, 360 for sure. I would say that. And not just us. Yeah, we went through a lot of ups and downs in our relationship. But for me, my relationship with people in general, I think So right before I had this autistic awakening and, self-diagnosing, as you could say, I I lost a lot in relationships in general with people because I just thought I was hot-headed and I just thought I didn't have patience. And looking back, it was
It
autistic
was those shutdowns.
shutdowns. Like I don't like, I broke up with my ex-boyfriend, lost my best friend.
It's hard. How does it feel? I know you're still processing it.
Yeah, that's hard. And then I don't even, relationships around me they got ruined. Um, I'm not in speaking terms with my cousin and my best friend that we've been best friends since I was 18. I thought, when all this stuff started happening, I was like, man, I am the villain. It's me.
You felt like the villain?
Yeah, so then you shame yourself more because you're like, dang, I'm a terrible person. But I knew I that couldn't be true because I'm such a loving person. I have a big heart. Now I just see that I was misunderstood because it was my autism that was affecting everything around me. And my jobs, it was always hard to stay at it. I was a kindergarten and preschool teacher. It's hard to hold jobs down more than 2 years, and I'd go to a different school, work at a different place, school, 2, 3 years, and just everyday life was just challenging.
Yeah.
And all of that was affected by it.
And did you feel misunderstood as well?
Yeah, felt misunderstood a lot. And I didn't understand myself. I thought it was just had like at one point I just thought I had a mental disorder. I thought I had multiple personalities or something. Like I thought I was literally losing my mind when all that stuff in 2024 was tough because that's when I got in a bad, broke up with my relationship. And then it was just, everything was just a domino effect. It was one thing after another.
Everything kept falling apart.
Everything kept falling apart. Everything kept falling apart. And I was just like, what is going on? I didn't understand what was happening, but now I'm glad that the universe had all of that stuff happen so I could finally see what is the leading cause, what is going on.
And now you know like how it's impacting your life, and now you know how to support
Yeah, now
yourself.
I know how to support myself and turn things around for myself. And
And now you're in an autistic therapy group
yeah,
and you have all kinds of
a
support.
psychiatrist,
Yeah.
yeah, therapist and stuff. And um, yeah, so now things are changing, and and with my therapist and psychiatrist, I'm working through. They're just they're like blown away that I made this self-discovery and that I'm able to see like, oh, this is why these relationships didn't work out. This
Right.
is why and then, you know, and then I was having a tougher time with my mom too, mother-daughter relationship right before I, had self-discovery that I had autism. And
Yeah.
then it opened up so many doors and it explained so much of my behavior and why things were
But do you think
crumbling.
that mom even like acknowledged the autism or the impact that it has on your life?
No, I don't. I think, I don't, I think she just says, I think she feels bad, but I don't really think she gets it. I don't think she means to dismiss it, even though it does come off kind of like that. I don't know. I think our mom kind of sees it. Maybe in the beginning, to me, it just came off that she just thought it was like an excuse.
Making an excuse.
Because when I told her one time, like, hey, I can't do all this. You can't talk to me this way because it's really triggering me. I'm autistic now. I remember mom and she just chuckled at me. She laughed and I was that hurt me. And I was just like, yeah, you know, anyone that just can't accept me where I'm at and who I really am, I just have to distance myself from them while I'm on this journey of self-discovery and showing up for myself. Because I don't, now I know that what's going on with me, I don't want to be triggered to react off of emotion because now I know I'm a high functioning autistic. It's hard to regulate yourself.
Yeah.
And now I know I have a trouble with regulating myself, so I don't want to put myself in a predicament where I'm going to be triggered like that and for that to happen. So I just love from a distance.
Yeah. Wow. Sister, this is so deep, so deep.
Yeah.
And I mean, you guys, this unfolded for months. Like this was a long journey. This awareness wasn't like a 1 week process. Like we said, this was like months and months of like every piece to the puzzle coming to the surface. And Katrina, do you have a message for someone who might be feeling like where you were this time last year before you fully embraced it? Like, do you have a message for this person where they're like, okay, maybe you use the word like something's wrong with me, but sometimes we all say like, okay, I just know something's not in alignment, something's
Yeah.
missing, something's out of alignment. So if someone's feeling like that and they're curious and they're like, well, maybe I am on the spectrum, maybe I'm not, like, what message do you have for them?
Um, I would say, like explore that. Do your homework. Or if you feel open to going to a therapist or a psychiatrist to see if you can get tested for it. Sit with it. Um, See how you feel about it in a couple of days. But if you have this like feeling like, no, I know, especially from hearing her story, I can relate a lot. I would, make an appointment, find a psychiatrist and get tested for it. Or I've seen a lot. I have to get the name of this book, but the name of this workbook too, in the workbook, it lists websites for you to go online and you can take like you see them on Instagram and different social platforms where you can click the link and get tested. You can they do like an autism test, or you can find out if you have ADHD or autism. But I actually have autism, which is ADHD and autism, right? Oh, and the name of the book is called The Unmasking Workbook for Adults
For
by
autistic adults.
for Autistic Adults by Jessica Pinot.
Penote.
Pinot. Her last name's Pinot. Penot.
We'll put the link in the show notes.
Yeah, and this is the book. This is the book that changed everything for me. And they have so many suggestions of different websites. I think they have suggestions of different psychiatrist websites you can go to. Um,
And it's a workbook, you guys, so it's interactive. This is not about just like reading some academic test or academic book about what autism is. It's a discovery. Like it takes you on this journey
yeah.
of unpacking, things about yourself and your experiences so you could really journal about it and work yourself through this workbook.
Yeah, they have writing prompts and just for example, like this chapter, I just flipped it open real quick. But like for example, chapter 3 is about find your place on the spectrum. And it talks about all of that, a shift in perspective. And it helps you to break down the things that you've gone through surrounding the autistic traits. Like in that same chapter, it says, can you relate to any of these elements in Emma's story? And it gives you different examples. And um, there's different charts where it says, what are your core values? What are your passions? What are your boundaries? Do you never want to be violated as an autistic person?
Wow, so good.
So it has a lot. Oh, and just one more thing, because I don't know, I forgot. I'm not sure if I answered the question from a few minutes ago, but um I do, it's still a learning curve for me, and I do still struggle with, I do embrace being autistic, but at the same time it's like, so it's hard because I still have moments where I'm like, man, I feel, you shouldn't call yourself dumb, or you feel shame from it, from being different. I'm still dealing and working through that. And um another thing is, oh, I lost my train of thought, what I was gonna say, but go ahead.
But you're just still working through, you're still processing it.
Oh yeah, I'm still processing all of that. And oh, but what I was gonna say is like, yes, I'm autistic, but it's like, even though for me, like now I know I'm not autistic, it's still me. I'm still myself. So
Yeah, and she's just, and yeah, she's still herself, but she actually is just more of her authentic self every day. And for me to get to know, I mean, I she's my sister, right? It's like we've known each other our whole lives, but I could see her coming into her own light now. Like I could see her just feeling more and more comfortable every day, especially because we've created a supportive environment. We've thought about some things these last couple months, and if there wasn't support already there, we created it and we built it in. So yeah, we were feeling called to do this episode, and thank you for Katrina for coming on. And we weren't sure if she was ready to have this type of chat, but I just kind of felt like it's so needed, it's so valuable, and I just want to say I'm so proud of you, sister, because it really is tough
yeah.
to unpack these things, and sometimes people don't want to become self-aware because they feel like they're going to go down a shame spiral.
Mm,
And
yeah.
while shame comes and goes, but when you open up to people, the thing about my sister Katrina, you guys, is like she wasn't on this journey alone. She had me.
Yeah.
And I'm not perfect. Like there was moments where I had to remind myself, like, okay, I'm up at, I get like 20 things done by 12 p.m. and I got to remind myself that she's not me. So I haven't been perfect either, but I've been trying to support her in the best way possible. And I'm just so glad that I'm here to support her. Like I'm trying, like I do my best every day to understand like what this means to have an autistic awakening, and what it means to unmask, and what it means to really go through all the different stages of autistic burnout, because the burnout, what just watching her and being here with her and supporting her and checking in on her every day, the burnout for her was like, I'm just speaking from an observer perspective as we wrap up this episode, because I know we're running out of time. But if you're in the middle of this, the burnout is rough.
Yeah.
It's rough. So please get support. Don't try to do this alone. Tell a friend. I know it's a long line to get diagnosed. I know it's a hard process. They don't make it easy to get diagnosed for this, but just get support. And if some people in your family or some people in your inner circle don't understand the severity of what it means to be on the spectrum, um, find someone who does. Pray for it, ask your spirit guides, ask around, just find some online resources, find someone who knows what it's like to be in this situation, to be an adult, and to go through the unmasking process, because it's not easy, and recovering from that burnout is not easy. You're not going to be able, there's no shame in feeling like you can't keep up with every other ambitious person in their 30s who's building businesses and doing this and doing that, and you having a family and like you're not behind. You're right on track, but just get support. So that is our message. Thank you, thank you, thank you for tuning in to today's episode. I greatly appreciate it. Thank you again to my sister Katrina for helping us out and helping us understand what this journey is all about. Thank you. Namaste, everyone. Have a great day.